Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I'm joined with Mr. Scooter Hobbs, and today we're going to learn about him and what he's gone through in order to get to in sports, in order to get to where he is in sports. Mr. Hobbs, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you, thank you. So, starters, what did you have to do in order to get to where you were? Like, what was one of your first jobs in sports?
Well, I'm probably a rarity. I've been at it 41 years now, and I've had basically the same job right out of college. And I did, work for part time for newspapers while I was in college. And I had never been here to Lake Charles but once before I came here for the job. And if you told me then I'd still be here 41 years from now, I would have said you're crazy. But I liked it. And when I had opportunities to leave, there was always a better excuse to stay. So here I am. And
That's
I'm
amazing.
too set in my ways now, probably. So I will be here, I'm sure.
That's amazing. Um, so since you're from Louisiana, you're have you been covering a lot of like Louisiana State University sports and like
That
down
is my
there?
primary job. I cover LSU for and have ever since I've been here. That's been my primary job. Yeah.
Awesome. What's been one of your best pieces?
Oh gosh. The, oddly, for somebody that covers LSU and lives in Louisiana, the column I may have gotten the most reaction from was about 10 years ago, and it was on curling.
Wow.
I had some fun with it, not knowing much about it and knowing that my readers didn't know much about it. We kind of had fun together with that one.
How much information did you have to like dig into? Like, I mean, guessing what I'm trying to say is what did you have to like what did you learn about the sport of curling, and like since it's a new sport for you to write about, what is that path like of learning a new sport that you're writing about?
Well, you got to remember the column was fairly humorous, uh, and so I did not out make any of it up, but I took some liberties. And I guess the thing I learned was that one of those uh, rocks they call them that they roll, can run you several $1,000s. And I suggested a frozen ham hock would probably work just as well.
I see. So being a sports writer, what's been one of the biggest challenges you've faced so far in this in the field?
Well, the game has certainly changed in the last 10 to 15 years, and that has, newspapers are struggling. That's not any secret, and it has changed. And I'm kind of an old dog, and I'm not as nimble around Twitter as most of my colleagues who tolerate me very well, by the way. I'm kind of the old guy on the LSU beat these days with a bunch of young, talented guys who tolerate me very well and let me go out with them. We have fun. But yeah, it is shrinking news pages, shrinking budgets. I've we're not dealing with anything here that isn't going on all over the country. I realize that.
I see. I see. Now, how like with newspapers starting like losing all like with kind of going away and it's turning into more of a technological way of reading stuff. How did you like adjust to that?
The technology wasn't the big problem. In fact, I always, over the years, welcome the technology. In fact, before the internet, started really putting a damper on the actual newsprint papers, I think the technology had made newspapers better than they ever were. with I go back to when we were still pasting up pages, and particularly for a fairly small market like ours, the whole pagination thing for newspapers really put us on a lot more equal ground with the bigger city newspapers. And so, I mean, I always welcome the technology. For the most part, it's good. Yes.
Okay. So if you had to choose like a social media outlet that are you like, is that the like, do you communicate best through Twitter, or is there another kind of social media outlet you use to show your articles so you can get people to
Well,
read them?
what little I do would be Twitter. Uh,
Okay,
Facebook is more social. I do some Facebook, but mostly Twitter. Yes.
gotcha.
And I will admit, I enjoy Twitter.
I gotcha.
Can't
One of
always
you,
trust it, but I do like it.
very true, very true. If you, what was your first? I don't know if you mentioned this, but your first job in journalism, where was it at?
Here, I have had the same job for 41 years. Uh, I wasn't always sports editor, obviously, but I've been here for 41 years now. I, I went to school at LSU and worked part time for the Baton Rouge paper, but I don't guess that would count.
That's
Yeah, like I
amazing.
said, I'm a rarity. I've been in the same spot.
That's amazing. How long have you been sports editor for your
Probably 25 years, I guess, something like that.
that's great. That's really amazing. Um, if you had to give advice to any young college graduate, what kind of advice would you give them?
Uh, Remember that first and foremost, it's still the story. It's not how clever you can be on Twitter. Be more, I think some of the young ones now are more interested in their Twitter following, say during a game, than they are remembering that their job there is to get the game story done. And there's some of that, but I understand that the electronic and the social media version of it is just as important now. I've just been slow to come around on it.
I see. Well, Mr. Hobbs, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come in, come to this interview with me. It really means a lot. Thank you so much.
Okay, I would like to say it was an honor to win this award, and I guess I've always said I learned to BS at an early age, and I've been perfecting it ever since. And that might have given me an edge this year with all the sports shut down. You had to BS a lot of columns. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs. And thank you, everyone, for listening and in watching this interview.